All right, so 1440p max settings and very, very playable. When we're going into a chaotic area, it's going to dip down, but those 0.1% lows are super locked in there above 60. Like we're at 75, 0.1% lows. This is 1440p max, no scaling. However, let's turn the settings down just a touch. Huge jump in performance now. So it'll take a minute for those 1% and 0.1% lows to recover. And I don't want to mess around with Afterburner because it keeps killing the overlay. It must be a Bungie like anti-piracy or anti-cheat thing. Guys, where's that big bad guy? There he is. Kaboom. While we're in this chaotic fight here, I did turn it up to 1440p. Absolute max. No scaling, nothing, just 1440p max. And I just want to see what it's like when there's a lot going on the screen. So we're locked above 60 at 1440p max. These 0.1% lows are, 50 something, which is very good. Now we're at 4K max, and we dip down here now, obviously. 50 FPS. It's a bit ambitious. We're probably going to dip down to about 45. You could play like this, but I probably wouldn't. I mean, this is Destiny 2 on 4K max. This is 4K max settings, but I do have the scaling set to 75, but everything else is maxed. Okay, so this here is 4K, but we're just on medium. There's no scaling anymore, you can see there, so just 4K medium. And yeah, 4K medium is doing really well. FPS at 80 or so, dropping down a little bit to 75, 72, 60. But look at the 1% lows and 0.1% lows. That's very telling. This is 1440p and everything is just absolutely maxed again. So this is running fine. Yeah, so 1440p, I think you can just crank it, to be honest. The frame times look pretty good. 0.1% lows are good. Is this that thing that spits from Jurassic Park? Okay, don't fight the dilithal or whatever it was called with your bare hands. So yeah, 1440p gamers. I mean, you just crank it, I guess. And textures will turn up epic. So all these, I put the high preset and then I turned view distance and that, and textures back up to high, back up to epic. And the frames, yeah, they've shot up quite a bit. So now we're up quite a bit, up to 90. For 1440p, if you max the settings, you're going to get 60 frames per second. So you can play like that, I guess. It's totally fine. Or you can do what I just did, which I just put everything to high. And then I turned the textures back up to max, and I turned the draw distance back up to max. So the game still looks really good. And now, the frames are way up, if that matters to you. I would just play at 60 frames per second because the game looks so good like that. But you can certainly turn it up to, turn them down just a tiny little bit. Medium settings, but then we have epic textures and epic draw distance. So we don't get all that annoying pop-in that I was getting. And the game looks like a bazillion times better. Obviously, I'm not going to be able to take on a dinosaur with my bare hands, but yeah, this is how I'd play on 4K. This game actually kind of cool. So put everything into medium, but then put the textures to epic and put the draw distance to whatever, epic. Okay, so this is Shadow of the Tomb Raider it's DirectX 12 at 4K, and I decided to run this one. I've had a lot of requests for just Shadow of the Tomb Raider, for Tomb Raider games in general. I decided to do Shadow of the Tomb Raider because it does have Intel XeSS, and I want to test it. Okay, so this is the game maxed, other than ray tracing, at 4K. It actually seems to be running really well. So without ray tracing, it looks like at 4K, you can just crank it and get very playable frames, at least in this area. So this is quality XeSS. And I haven't reset the 1% lows or anything, but you can see here our frames are way up. So 4K max settings with quality, XeSS, and we're up above 60 now. Even with all this lighting stuff going on. So ray trace shadows, ultra, this is the game maxed. Everything absolutely maxed with ray tracing set to ultra or whatever it was. And quality XeSS, and now we're up, even with the ray tracing and everything absolutely maxed, 4K, we're still up to 50 or so, which is actually really good. So we'll set XeSS to balance. I'm just curious to see what it does. Not much. A little bit. We're above 70 now in some places, but it's so. This is a very subjective comment. I've used FSR a lot, like a lot. I've used DLSS a lot, NVIDIA DLSS. It's on my laptop, in fact. And I've been using XeSS only in Modern Warfare in this, but FSR, when it's set to balance, you can really notice it doesn't look as good. The textures just don't look great. When it's on ultra quality, you can't tell. This is balanced XeSS, and the game, I can't notice any fidelity impacts at all. It looks incredible. So this is 1440p now. Everything's maxed here. And XeSS is off. Ray tracing is off to start. So 1440p max. It runs great, obviously. This game is not going to be super challenging for this graphics card at 1440p, to be honest. Just to see how that looks. Yeah, so we're way up now. So 1440p, XeSS to balanced, and it makes the game just run really well. You don't need it at all. 1440p, you can just crank it. Runs totally fine. Let's put on ray trace. We'll just go with ultra. So this is the game absolutely maxed. 1440p native, no XeSS or anything. Absolutely maxed with ray tracing to ultra as well. And it runs great. So for 1440p gamers, which I still think probably dominate over 4K quite a bit, you can just turn the game to max and away you go. And turn ray tracing to max and away you go. There's no point in lowering it. It's not necessary. It's not needed, but you can certainly do it because you have it now. Rock solid above 60. 1% lows and 0.1% lows are above 60 frames, 80. Okay, so we'll go with ray tracing maxed, 1080p, ray tracing max, everything maxed. And even so, it's really nothing to the game. The card is able to do 1080p, it's just not challenging. Yeah, there we go. We're down below 100 at least.